most of this, the 191 college and the standard specifically, these are all residential, like something that that I could move into, or is this more of a student housing thing? Or
right. Well, they're mixed-use buildings,
okay.
but they're what the city defines as a private dormitory,
Okay.
which is purpose-built student housing, and we define that by the floor plans of units, right? Often we'll find a smaller living space with very repetitive bedroom sizes, and you can see that they're marketed towards students with tons of student-driven amenities like pools and gyms and study rooms and this kind of thing. They're leased by the bedroom instead of by the unit. Those are all characteristics of what a student property is.
Yeah.
Now, these units that have been under construction for some time were grandfathered in before the city of Auburn prohibited private dormitories in the urban core district. You can still
they've done that already?
Right. You can still build private dormitories in urban neighborhood west, which abuts campus where it makes sense. In the urban core, you can still build up to the same density, 75 foot of apartments, but those apartments have to be what we call market rate units, which means they have larger living spaces, perhaps a master bedroom, and they don't market so much amenities towards a student lifestyle. Now, we can't prohibit students from living in them,
Yeah.
but they won't be marketed towards them, and they'll perhaps be more expensive for that of a young professional or a young couple.
Sorry about that, I had to take my jacket off, got a little too hot.
Yeah.
But we talk about housing. In my business, which is in the real estate and lending world, there's a tremendous amount of demand for Lee County properties.
Right.
Which obviously supply and demand, prices are going up. So there's a lot of some frustrations or shock
Right.
when I have folks that come in, clients, that are like, oh my word, the value of the properties are so much greater.
Right.
Well, with the student housing, I guess, per room basis, renting a per room,
Right.
that seems to be an interesting issue where it's kind of a problem because, I mean, the developer can really set whatever they want for pricing.
Right.
So how, what's the future of that? I mean, where's my level here, and what are we going to be able to do? What happens if I want to live downtown?
Right.
I'm not going to want to live in a college private dormitory.
For sure.
So, what?
So like I mentioned, in the urban core, which is a specific district that includes the heart of downtown, you can no longer build these. These buildings that you see were grandfathered in before that ordinance really took place. So in the future, you will see more market rate units for young professionals, young couples, or retirees happening downtown, because we do want to provide that walkable urban lifestyle for all demographics, right? The student housing boom happened with the beginning of 160 Ross and Evolve. And Auburn was pretty late to the game because this has happened in other cities like Tuscaloosa, Athens, Gainesville for a long time. And it has to do with growth in the university. When President Leith took office, he said that he would increase enrollment and increase faculty, which he's doing, and which caused developers to purchase land to build more student housing. And today's millennial market and those younger generations really want to live close to campus in a lifestyle where they're not too dependent on their cars and they can easily get to the amenities of the city, right? The public spaces of the city, the Sanford Lawns, the Toomer's drugstores, the restaurants, and all those things, and rather than living in a suburban community out South College Street. And you mentioned sort of pricing and the demand in Lee County, and that has a lot to do with little inventory in our really fast growing region. But one thing I would say for developers, market rate housing is really important in urban conditions. Whether it be downtown or you're creating a more urban district somewhere else, I often think of faculty, which is such an important part of our community. Auburn University is the largest employer here, and with Leith saying he's going to increase faculty and research opportunities at Auburn University, we're going to need more housing for those people who are going to be moving in here that are really talented and often have high-paying positions. And we think about perhaps recruitment. You want to recruit good faculty from the best institutions to come here. And I don't think that their self-image is a suburban cul-de-sac. You can't bring someone here who's young and educated and show them how beautiful our campus is and show them Toomer's Corner, take them downtown to such the awesome urban environment we have, and then say, but by the way, try to find a ranch house out there.
Yeah.
You know, they'll be stolen by Austin or Miami or some other city that offers that. So I'm hoping to see, and I think we will see in the coming years, developers really provide sort of a missing middle market of housing that has to do with market rate apartments that are in walkable districts, townhouses, row houses, because right now we're not seeing much in between high rise and single family.
Now you talked about, you know, urbanizing. You've traveled abroad.
I have.
So you've seen kind of the what we were trying to get to, or what we want to get to, or at least talk about. You know, a grocery store type situation.
Right.
How am I going to carry all my bags to, you know, every Friday or every Saturday morning, you know, to my house?
Right.
If we do live in a non-parking situation in an urban environment,
Right.
you know, how do you function?
Right. Well, the key is to have choice. And I lived abroad for a while in Europe, and I got to experience this firsthand. And a grocery store has been one of the main demands downtown for a long time, and I think it's coming pretty soon. But people always ask me, well, how do you go to the grocery store without your car? You have to carry so many bags. Well, when I hear that, I say you're used to the suburban way of grocery shopping, where you go maybe once or twice a week and you fill up a cart full of stuff because you have to drive there. If you live downtown and you're going to work on campus or work nearby or going to class on campus, you'll be passing that grocery store or within immediate proximity of that grocery store once or twice a day, just as I was when I lived in the middle of Rome. So when you shop in an urban way, you grab one bag, or you grab perhaps the milk or what you need for dinner, right? When I lived in Rome and when I was in London, that's what I did, right? You pass it and you get what you need for the night because you'll know you'll pass it the same time the next day. So the model of driving and filling up your cart is not really what you see with an urban grocery store.
Wow. Well, that presents a very different
Well, it
idea.
prevents a different lifestyle, which is
Yeah.
great because right now, for the longest time in Auburn, the suburban lifestyle has been the only one. And I think it's great to have both, or to at least have choice.
And that's what, as you pointed out, there's positives and negatives, but I think if we all kind of just look at it at a different light.
Right, because I think millennials really want to live in cities where they can get around not only with their car, but by walking, biking, and taking transit. And I think the baby boomer generation is finding great ease to move into communities where they can walk to their daily needs. And those are the two largest generations on earth right now. And the baby boomer generation is aging really fast. And as they age, they can't drive. That's why we have retirement homes popping up everywhere, because what do you do when you can't drive, right? We need to create places where it's possible to live without driving. And the millennials who probably grew up in the suburbs actually love cities, right? To them, the suburbs don't have any magic as they did for their parents and grandparents in the 50s and 60s.
In the front yard and all that fun stuff.
Right, yeah, that's over.
Yeah, it's
you know,
over.
they really love cities, and you may have heard now that all the downtowns are the coolest things. So the millennials are revitalizing downtown Birmingham, downtown Detroit, the Miami beaches, the Key Wests, and I think Auburn is not excluded in that venture.